Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Steelers Nation Unite Huddle, presented by Hyundai. I'm Craig Wolfley, filling in for Missy Matthews. So you'll notice I have much shorter hair than Missy does.
It looks like it.
Exactly. We're excited to be bringing you a Hall of Honor edition of the Huddle with our special guest, Hall of Famer Rod Woodson. Rod, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm glad I'm here.
It's good to see you, brother. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's always good to come back to the Burgh.
Well, it is. You know, I mean, anytime you were with several teams, but your roots are here.
It is.
You're
I mean, I
always
was
a Steeler.
drafted here.
Yeah.
You know, they took a chance on me, 1987. I got to play 10 wonderful years here. Some great coaches, some great players. A lot of my close friends all played here also. So it's always good to come back.
No doubt about it. Okay, we got a lot of fan questions, and we're going to get to them here shortly. But first, I got to ask you about the Steelers Hall of Honor and what it meant to you to be part of that inaugural class last year with the rest of the team's Hall of Famers. Let us, what's the inside on that?
I mean, just think about the history of the Steelers. Just think how many Hall of Famers they have. What, 24 Hall of Famers, something like that, in the Hall of Fame in Canton. And to be a part of that, and not winning a Super Bowl here, but still being a part of that is amazing. Because I remember coming in here, and Chuck Noll was my head coach, and Mean Joe Green was the defensive line coach. John Stallworth was a receiver still playing. Mike Webby was still the center.
Right.
Donnie Shell was still playing. So seeing those guys in person, and then Mel Blount walks in the building, a week later, I'm like, that's Mel Blount. I thought I was big. So meeting those guys who I seen grow up and win all those Super Bowls was pretty surreal.
It's got to be something when you hear your name called amongst those. I mean, something special.
Absolutely. I mean, it's, especially when you're talking about those guys who won Super Bowls here.
Right.
And unfortunately, I didn't get a Super Bowl here. We went to one, we lost. But to be a part of those guys who namesake, and they brought Lombardi trophies back to the Burgh for the city, to be in that same category with those guys, it is amazing.
Now you think about you're back to be part of the celebration tonight and on game day, and how excited are you for this weekend and to be back in Pittsburgh? Overall, I know you love it here, but to be part of the celebration tonight at the Hall of Honor and then the Sunday night game, it's something special.
Well, it's going to be great to see the guys, first of all, tonight. That's going to be great.
Isn't that always the best part?
It is, because you go your separate ways. Some guys you stay in touch with, some guys you don't. But every time you get together, it's like you never left.
Yeah,
left each other. When you think about game day, I can't wait to see the terrible towels being twirled around live again. I mean, I watch your games every week, so I see it. I see it week in and week out. But being there live, seeing the 50-something thousand towels twirling at one time, the crowd cheering for the black and gold, that's going to be amazing.
It is amazing when you feel it up there, and to watch the crowd just get into it like that. And I know when they call you out, and people are going to love it. It's just great to see you, and good to have you back here. All right, we got a lot of questions from fans, so we're going to get moving on. My first question comes from Steve Dinko, and he asks, basically, what are you up to these days, Rod? What are you doing?
Well, the last 3 years, I was coaching with the Raiders. Finished up that, and now I'm back on the networks. I work with Fox during the week, and I work with the NFL Network on the weekends.
When you, with Fox, do you do it from what studios? LA.
So LA studios, and NFL Network is also from the LA studios.
Oh, so that's nice, and it's not running from one end of the country to the other.
No, I'm not traveling too much.
Very good. Tell me real quick, what do you like best about coaching, least about coaching, best about broadcasting, least about broadcasting?
The best thing about coaching is that being with your guys. So you get your room. I was a DB coach, so being in the room with my guys, giving to them what was given to me over my course of my 17 years from different coaches, from different peer players, giving that back to the players on a daily basis, and hopefully that sinks in and makes them a better player down the road. I love that. What I didn't like is a lot of the political BS that came with coaching.
Right.
He's going to bring in his guys, and his guys get more leeway than you. And I didn't like that. And then when you talk about TV, the one thing I love about TV is that everybody has an opinion,
right? And
you get to state that opinion and not get fired for it. That's the great thing. And then probably the worst thing is that I'm a grassroots football guy,
right?
So it really doesn't have that. It doesn't fulfill that part of who I am.
Bingo. You know what bothers me is that you feel like and the game ends and you're like going, wait a minute, I didn't have anything at stake as far as physically, because there is that emptiness about not being able to play.
Right.
That does, I can understand absolutely. Okay, next we have a question from Ray Ashley, and she wants to know, what is the biggest thing you miss about playing for the Steelers?
Oh gosh, my guys. I miss the fans. The fans are great. It's the only city that has all the sporting teams are all the same color. And so that's outstanding. But you know how it is. 53 guys in the locker room. We all don't get along at all times. We all don't have the same viewpoints about different subject matters in life in general.
Right.
But being in there to communicate with those guys every day, you just build a bond. And being around, Carnell for 9 years. I was with Greg Lloyd for 8 years. I was with Kevin Green for 7 years. Gosh, I was with Darren Perry for 8 years. So just being with those guys over the course of time, especially the latter guys, when talking about Darren Perry and Carnell in the same room together,
right,
for so long, that's when you build the bonds, and I miss that the most.
Absolutely. All right, B-Mac asks, what was your most memorable moment while you were with the Steelers?
Oh, I think the bittersweet year of '95. I get hurt. The first game of the year, 10th play of the game against Barry Sanders. But our team was good enough because we lost an AFC Championship game the year before. I knew we were good enough to get there, to get back to at least AFC Championship game.
Right.
And then when I got hurt, and then I met with the doctors said, hey, it's going to be like a 4 to 6 month process. And I'm like, 4 months? Shoot, that's playoffs. So that's when I started talking to Bill Cowher. Bill's like, yeah, I'll give you a shot as long as nobody else gets hurt.
See, that's remarkable to me. I mean, even back then, because medically, they don't, like today, guys can get that surgery done and they're back really quick. But back in your time, that was not a set deal.
Yeah, I mean, it was better, when I had this surgery and the injury, it was better then than it was 10 years before that.
Right.
But the greatest thing about it is that Bill had an open mind. Most coaches don't have open minds when it comes to injuries.
Right.
They're going to put you on IR and be done with it. And nowadays they have you IR designated to return, so guys can come back in 8 weeks. Back in the day when I played, once you went on IR, you didn't play the rest of the year. You had to play the following year. So at least Bill had an open mind, and we had a good enough team to keep winning games, and we had athletes in the back end because like Carnell Lake was an outside linebacker in college.
Right.
Came to Pittsburgh, became a safety. But that 1 year, he moved to corner to play corner. That's how good an athlete he was.
He was amazing.
And so he moved out to corner, and played well enough for us to win and get all the way to the Super Bowl to allow me to have an opportunity.
What made you believe that you could recuperate that fast? You could rehab that fast? I mean, Gadzooks, man, that's a lot.
It was just a hope,
Yeah.
I always kind of.
Let me ask you, quietly, in your own mind, how sure were you that you could pull it off as compared to what other people were saying?
I didn't really know, but I had the hope because I always healed pretty fast.
Right.
But that was different because really at the end of the day, your ACL and your ligaments, those things heal when they heal.
Right.
So really what I was doing, I was just strengthening my leg around the ACL to make it strong enough to take. And when I played in the game itself, I was probably 65%.
Okay.
Not probably anything more than that.
Probably didn't have
but the adrenaline was going, so I didn't feel anything. Yeah. So, I mean, I probably could have played the whole game. But, Carnell played an excellent game when he was out there at corner again against Michael and those guys. And just unfortunately for us, we didn't get that win.
That's still truly remarkable, you coming back like that. All right, next Steeler fan, 1974 says, Mr. Woodson, you were my favorite player growing up. I used the number 26 on all my jerseys because of you. So my question for you is, when you played, what made you want to wear that number? Thank you for all the great memories of watching you play.
Well, I didn't have a choice. I mean, when I was like in junior high, I think I was number 11. And when I was at Blackhawk, and so in Fort Wayne, Indiana, I went to Blackhawk Junior High. I think I was number 11 or 14, something like that. I go to Snyder High School, and we go to JV practice, and they were like, I come up to get a jersey, and they just threw 26 at me, and it stuck. And I'm like, I like 26, and I always say that the number doesn't make the player makes the number. Ooh. So it just kind of stuck with me. And then once I went from Snyder to Purdue to the Steelers, I always kept 26. Very
good indeed. All right, before we get to our next question, we want to let everyone watching know that today's keyword is Woodson. So head to SteelersNationUnite.com and enter the keyword Woodson during 10 yards for watching today. Next up, we have Mr. Burns, Steelers One, who asks a similar question but wants to know, with your skill set being what it was, how would you adjust to the speed of today's game and the new rules protecting offensive players? I don't think the speed of the game is any different for you.
Yeah, I mean,
but the new rules.
Yeah, the game is different just for the fact that, we played against a run and shoot.
Right.
So everybody's playing a run and shoot. That's all the game is today. So everybody's playing a run and shoot. The difference is I was a physical corner, so I would get in trouble in today's game because I want to hit people. I want to put my body weight on people. I remember my best hit on a quarterback was Warren Moon. I got to pick him up. I drove my helmet into his chin. Mm-hmm. His lip was bleeding. Heck, I might get disqualified nowadays. I mean, I'm gonna definitely get a FedEx on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, you might be taking out a second mortgage to pay some of those fines.
So it's a little different today. I mean, so you just have to learn. I mean, it's hard to say. Everybody's talking about this roughing the passer and all that. It's hard. It's easy to say, put half your body weight on the quarterback as you're taking him down. That's easy to say.
Yeah,
but when you're ingrained to playing a certain way your whole life, and now they changed the rule and you're into only 3 games, and they're telling you to adapt. It's hard to adapt. I think over time, players will probably adapt, but for this year and maybe even part of next year, it's going to be difficult for guys to do that.
See, Rod, that's my one beef I have with the NFL, and that how do you change the culture in the aiming points in midstream? I mean, to me, you're a coach. First of all, you're a player. Then you're a coach. You understand that you've got to transmit this information to your guys and do so in the course of a season when you've not had a whole off season. You don't even have a training video per se that you can say, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Well, they predicate it on the defense's job to change his target, even in the last second. If it's a bang-bang play, the receiver sees the DB, he ducks, well, then now the DB has to duck. That's physically impossible, but that's what they want anyway. It's never going to happen. You're always going to have those head collisions because of that.
All right. Well, we got to move on here, so we got just a little bit of time for a few more questions today. So we're going to go up with CMB, who asks, after a ball is intercepted, what's the key to running it back for a TD?
Man, find open space and don't get tackled. Shoot, what you talking about? Ain't no magic. There's no like fairy dust, out there on the field. It's like find the open lane and go.
See, I would be sitting there going, okay, and then I do what? But yes, you're right.
You just find it. I mean, it's one of those things like when your corner is different because your corner, normally the interceptions are going to come outside anyway. So you're going to have a straight lane.
Right.
When you're a safety, you got to weave through that thing and try to find the open way. And sometimes you got to cut back across the field.
Have you ever jumped a route knowing, this is leaning green right to the end zone? I mean, you can see it ahead and you go.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life.
No, that's not stupid. That's,
no, I'm just saying.
That's doing what you do, baby.
You see things, and I would tell, Chuck Noll and I would tell Bill, I was like, listen, I take calculated risks. I'm a formation-driven guy. I see the formation. They're going to run 2 or 3 routes out of it. I'm going to see the split. And if they run it, I'll look at my safety and give them a little nod like, I'm taking everything short. So if they double move me, please help.
Absolutely. Okay, we got Black and Gold fan who also wants to know about the Steelers-Ravens rivalry and says, you've obviously seen this rivalry build and been on both sides. What makes this one of the best rivalries in the NFL?
Because both teams are just alike. Both buildings are just alike. You got a great ownership with the Steelers. You got great ownership with the Ravens. If you strip the colors down, they play just alike. They play physical. It's going to be a black and blue game. I mean, it's always been that way. So I just think the way it's structured on both sides in both cities, it trickles down to the locker room the same way, and the fans love their teams exactly the same way. Maybe a little bit more in Pittsburgh because it's been here a little bit longer. I think they understand it a little bit better about when to cheer and when not to cheer. And when I first got to Baltimore, they didn't know when to cheer. They was cheering when the offense was on the field. Like, no, you can't cheer when the offense is on the field. But I think that's what makes it a rivalry. And plus, both teams are good.
Well, our last question today comes from Steeler Bob, and he asks, what is your take on this year's squad, and how do you see them progressing as the season goes on?
Well, offensively, I think they're there. They just got to keep not having the mental mistakes, no pre-snap mental mistakes. You can have physical mistakes. That's going to happen in football. As long as they keep scoring 28, 30 points a game, they should win. Defensively, they just got to come together. The back end and the front end has to work together. They have to. They got to get the rush. When the rush is not there, they got to cover longer. They got to not be scared to put their foot in the ground and go make plays. They got some young players on the back end, so they'll learn, they'll grow from it, they'll be better by the end of the year. They're going to be better than they were at the beginning of the year. So hopefully, as they keep growing, the offense will stay steady, and they'll win a bunch of games.
Man, you're pretty good at this media thing. Thanks again for joining us today, Rod. We'll look forward to seeing you tonight at the Hall of Honor induction ceremony on Sunday night at Heinz Field. A reminder, the key word for today is Woodson, and thank you all for joining us on this edition of The Huddle, presented by Hyundai. We'll see you next time.
All right,
thank you, my friend. All right.